They both sail the same oceans, they both face the same storms. They both carry the weight of human ambition across thousands of miles of open water.
But beyond the hull and the horizon, a cruise ship and a cargo ship are not the same vessel. They are not even close.
A cruise ship moves people through an experience. A cargo ship moves the world's goods from one shore to another. A cruise ship is a floating city, built around comfort, spectacle, and the art of making the sea feel safe.
A cargo ship is a working machine, stripped down, purpose-built, and optimized for one thing only: efficiency. Both cruise ship and a cargo ship are extraordinary. Both demand extraordinary people to operate them. But a cruise ship and a cargo ship represent two entirely different philosophies of what a ship is for and what it takes to run one. This is the real difference between a cruise ship and a cargo ship, and it goes much deeper than you think.
Start with the most fundamental question. What is the ship for?
A cargo ship has one answer: move freight. Whether it is containers stacked 20 high on a container ship, crude oil filling the tanks of a supertanker, or bulk grain loaded into the holds of a bulk carrier. The entire vessel is designed around the cargo it carries. Every square meter of space that is not essential to operating the ship is cargo space. The crew quarters are functional and minimal. The common areas are small. Nothing exists on a cargo ship that does not serve the mission of moving goods from port to port as reliably and economically as possible. A cruise ship has a completely different answer. The passengers are not incidental to the ship. They are not on a working vessel at all, but in a resort that happens to be moving. This single difference in purpose drives every other difference between these two vessels: their size, their crew, their cost, their operations, and the way they move through the world. Both types of vessel can be enormous, but they are enormous in completely different ways. The largest cargo ships in the world, vessels like the ultra-large container ships operating between Asia and Europe, stretch over 400 meters in length. They carry upward of 24,000 20-foot equivalent containers. Their gross tonnage exceeds 230,000. And yet, standing on the deck of one of these vessels, you would find almost no one. A crew of perhaps 20 to 25 people operates the entire ship. The largest cruise ships in the world are similarly sized in length, but structurally, they could not be more different.
Where a container ship is wide, low, and dense with cargo, a cruise ship rises.
It towers above the waterline in layer after layer of passenger decks, sometimes 18 or 20 decks above the keel. The gross tonnage of the largest cruise ships now exceeds 230,000 as well. But that tonnage is filled not with freight, but with staterooms, restaurants, theaters, pools, shopping areas, and the infrastructure required to support over 6,000 passengers and a crew of more than 2,000 people. A cargo ship must be strong enough to carry massive, concentrated loads. The weight of thousands of containers pressing down on the hull in specific, calculated positions. A cruise ship must distribute weight across an enormous, tall, top-heavy structure, while maintaining the stability that keeps thousands of human beings safe and comfortable in all sea conditions.
Nothing illustrates the difference between these two vessels more clearly than the people who work on them.
On a modern cargo ship, the crew is small by design. A typical large container ship operates with between 20 and 30 people, officers, engineers, and deck crew. Each person carries significant responsibility. The chief engineer manages an engine room the size of a small industrial plant.
All right, team, line handling stations, check the moorings. Look alive, double check the knots. Good, now coil them neatly.
There is no room for redundancy. Every person on a cargo ship is essential. And the work is demanding, isolated, and relentless. Long contracts at sea, often 6 to 9 months without returning home, in conditions that range from monotonous to genuinely dangerous. On a cruise ship, the crew picture is unrecognizable by comparison. A large modern cruise vessel carries a crew that can exceed 2,000 people. Officers and engineers manage the navigation and machinery. But the majority of that crew, housekeeping staff, chefs, waiters, entertainers, medical personnel, spa technicians, retail staff, guest services teams, exist entirely to serve the passenger experience. The work cultures are different, the contracts are different, the training emphasis is different. On a cargo ship, seamanship and technical competence are everything. On a cruise ship, seamanship remains essential at the command level.
But for much of the crew, the primary skill is hospitality, day after day across thousands of miles of open ocean.
Good afternoon, sir. Your drink.
Thank you very much.
And for the table, enjoy.
Steady on course, watch the traffic. Clear approach to port.
But the way they operate those oceans could not be more different. The cargo ship follows what is called a fixed trade route, a scheduled lane between specific ports, repeated voyage after voyage. The Hamburg to Shanghai container run, the Middle East to Japan crude oil route, the Brazil to China iron ore passage. The ship moves on a timetable set by commercial contracts, port schedules, and the economics of the shipping market. Every knot of speed and every ton of fuel is calculated against the cost of the cargo and the penalty for late delivery. The bridge of a cargo ship is focused on one thing above all else, getting the vessel safely from port to port on time. A cruise ship navigates differently. Its route is an itinerary, a carefully designed sequence of ports. The ship may call at 6 or 8 ports in a single week. It must arrive on schedule at each one. Not because of a cargo contract, but because thousands of passengers have booked shore excursions, flights, and speed management on a cruise ship is equally precise but serves a different master. A sea day, a day spent entirely at sea between ports.
Must be managed so the ship arrives at the next destination at exactly the right time.
Not too early, not too late. The ocean is the backdrop. The schedule is the product. Both vessels operate under the same fundamental international safety framework, SOLAS, the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea. But the practical reality of safety operations on each vessel is vastly different.
On a cargo ship, safety drills involve a small, professional crew, each person trained to a high standard.
Everyone here does emergency roll. Abandoned ship drills, fire drills, and damage control exercises are conducted regularly, but the numbers are manageable. 25 trained mariners can be accounted for, briefed, and positioned rapidly.
On a cruise ship, safety is an operation of an entirely different scale.
Over 8,000 people, passengers and combined on the largest vessels, must be accounted for, informed, and positioned in an emergency.
The muster drill that passengers experience at the beginning of every cruise is not a formality.
It is a life safety procedure that maritime law requires precisely
Because the consequences of a mass evacuation at sea without proper preparation are catastrophic.
The life-saving equipment reflects this difference. A cargo ship carries lifeboats sufficient for its small crew, plus inflatable life rafts as backup. A cruise ship carries enough lifeboats to evacuate every single person on board, passengers and crew capacity. The davit systems that launch those boats are engineered, tested, and maintained to a standard that must hold in the worst sea conditions imaginable.
Both vessels take safety seriously.
But on a cruise ship, safety is not just an operational requirement.
It is a constant, living, breathing management challenge, every single day at sea. The economics of these two vessels are as different as their purpose. A cargo ship generates revenue by moving freight. The ship owner charges a rate per container, per ton of oil, per day of charter, and the profit is the margin between that rate and the cost of operating the vessel. Fuel, crew wages, port fees, maintenance, and insurance are the primary costs.
On the largest container ships, a single voyage between Asia and Europe can move cargo worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
The ship itself may be worth $150 million or more. But the margins in cargo shipping are thin and volatile. Freight rates rise and fall with global trade volumes, fuel prices, and the supply of available ships. A shipping company can be profitable one year and deeply in the red the next, entirely at the mercy of forces beyond its control. A cruise ship operates on a different economic model entirely. Revenue comes from ticket sales, onboard spending. One ticket, please.
Beverages, excursions, retail, spa services, and the partnerships cruise lines build with ports and destination economies.
The largest cruise ships can generate over $1 million per day in revenue when fully booked. But the capital cost is staggering. A new large cruise ship costs between $800 million and over $1 billion to build. The operational complexity, managing thousands of passengers, hundreds of crew departments, and a hospitality operation that never stops, demands a scale of management that cargo shipping simply does not require. Both business models have made fortunes. Both have absorbed enormous losses. The sea has never been a forgiving place to make money.
Two ships, two oceans in every sense of the word.
One moves the goods that keep the world running. The other cruise moves the people who want to see it. The cargo ships operate in near silence, with a handful of professionals doing the work of a small army. The other cruise ship never sleeps, a city afloat, running at full capacity every hour of every day at sea. And yet, strip away the passenger decks, the cargo holds, the economics, and the crew counts, and you find the same truth at the center of both the cargo ship and cruise ship. The sea demands respect. It demands competence.
It demands that every person on every vessel, whether they are navigating a container ship
Through the Strait of Malacca or managing a lifeboat drill for 6,000 passengers in the Caribbean, knows their role, trusts their training, and never stops paying attention. The ocean does not distinguish between vessels. It does not care whether you are carrying smartphones or honeymooners. It applies the same forces, the same weather, and the same indifferent power to everything that floats upon it. What protects both ships, a cruise ship and a cargo ship? What has always protected a cruise and a cargo ship is the professionalism of the people inside them. That is the one thing a cruise ship and a cargo ship will always have in common. If this video gave you a deeper understanding of the sea and the ships that sail it, subscribe for more real maritime stories.